This whole playlist is a bunch of videos that Omega and I took in 2013 at Mondo Baltimore, a great film festival that we attended for PME. I really don't want to go into anything about PME in this video. Everything that you could possibly want to know is already online. So anytime PME comes up in these videos, just remember this dramatization of what it was like to work there.
Why have you done this to me? Why? Now I must destroy you.
There can be no forgiveness.
Anyway, we did the videos and sent them in, but to my knowledge they're not online anywhere, so here they are. Online and being ignored by everyone who's not you. I'm here with Babette Bombshell, star of a movie I'm going to review but haven't done yet, called Cockhammer, and a star of a lot of other things. Babette, if that is your real name, tell me about Cockhammer.
Well, Cockhammer was a fabulous film. It was kept by Kevin Strange, who is well-known in the independent film community. And he asked me to do as a personal favor to him after many sexual encounters to do the Cockhammer film. So I did a sex demon, which, of course I did years of independent research for. But yeah, so I was a sex demon in that movie. What would you like to know?
I would like to know what it's like to play a sex demon for Kevin Strange, director of Nuke'em High, Smoke Christmas, and Dead Shit, the Talisman of QnAs.
Well, the thing is, he wanted me to do the mother in that previous movie. What did you say? Like the
Colonel Kill Motherfucker.
Colonel Kill Motherfucker. He wanted me to do the mother in that movie, and I wanted to, but for whatever reason, there were like complications where I couldn't do it. And I watched that movie and I was like, oh fuck, because I really would have liked to have winked my asshole during the rape scene and done a lot of shit that wasn't done in that movie. And Kevin later said to me, yeah, I would have liked for you to do that movie. So he had me come in and do Cockhammer and do a cock demon in that movie. So I sculpted a whole penis costumes and everything for him for that movie and did that film. But
that must have been fun to travel with, because you were based in Orlando, Florida, and Kevin Strange is based in Illinois.
Well, see, that's the crazy thing, is because I went in, I went through Orlando, and, there are thousands of people who have had their Disney vacation, and who have had been, like, the happiest place on fucking earth and shit. So, then they have me go through, and I'm packing my costume, which is like a large 3-foot, like cephalic, like diseased penis. Right, yeah, it's like a big, ugly piece, and with big hanging balls and shit. So that's in my luggage. So, like, they're moving through, and there's thousands of people in line, and I'm standing there. And they finally moved through, and this little black girl was standing there, looked at it, and she saw the, like, ghost go through the fucking thing, and she saw the dick, and so she picked it up like fucking Walgreens, like, a price call. And she said, she held it up, and immediately everybody in line, like all these people who had had their Disney vacation, were confronted by a large diseased penis. And she said, is this yours, sir? And I did say yes. But yeah, so that, all of that shit, that's pretty par for the course for my career.
I can believe it. You run a haunted hotel in Orlando, Florida, where people can book and go. Can you give us any information about that?
Well, I run a haunted hotel in Orlando, and the thing that's crazy about that is, well, I take it very seriously because, for a long time I've been courted by the reality show kind of deals where they want to come through and they want to film you, but they don't do skeptics, and I'm very skeptical. I'm not a believer. And for a long time, I've collected like cursed objects, like the Collier death chair, and I have pieces of James Dean's car from when he crashed, and just like did like famous cursed shit. And you couldn't have this cursed shit in your house if you believed it. So for a long time, I kind of pushawed all of these kind of reality shows because they weren't really into skeptics. But now the kind of skeptics are coming into it and coming into their own in these reality shows. So I'm looking at them now with like a new light, you know. I look at some of them like the Finding Bigfoot and shit. And I'm very practical, you know. I look at Bigfoot and I'm like, you know, if big feet exist, what do I give a shit? So long as they don't, like, you know, ask to, you know, take jobs away from good working Americans or get married, what do I give a shit if Bigfoot exists? So that's my thought on that. But, you know, so now I'm opening a haunted hotel, and I have opened up an invitation, and I open this up to anyone out there in the viewing community. That's you. If you have cremains and you would like them, you know, and you don't give a shit about the relative, auntie, whoever, uncle, whoever, who gives a fuck, if you want them to have a home where they will be honored and treasured forever, send them to Madame Babette's Haunted Hotel in Orlando, Florida. You can look it up on fucking Facebook. And they will go up on our wall of remembrance forever. Because I've opened up a hotel just for ghosts. I don't want real people because they're too much fucking trouble. But, you know, so yeah, so I entertain ghosts at my hotel.
Based on some of the artifacts you've collected, Madame Bombshell, I have to say, you sound like you have a similar taste in aesthetics as I do. That's not a question, it's just a statement of admiration.
Oh, my darling, please. Well, the thing is, you know, yeah, I have like lots of cryptozoology shit. Like I have the original Bigfoot footprints from the Patterson-Gimlin film. I have the original Yeti footprints from the Yeti in the 1930s when Sir Patterson, whatever, fucking found them. And, you know, so I really do a lot of research, and I'm very much into Houdini, and I'm a skeptic. I come from a skeptical point of view.
You're a bit like Pendulette, but with less makeup.
Well, Pendulous with less makeup and with more propensity for fellatio. But, you know, so yeah, so that is where the spirit of the hotel comes from, and now we do seances once a month. Last month we did Hitler on his birthday, and we do, you know, we have spiritualists come in, real spiritualists who believe in, like, mediumship and shit, and they put their hands down, they say, okay, the spirits are near, and then I hand around the globe full of jokes that are roast jokes, like, let me see, what's a good roast joke for Hitler? For Hitler, one of the good roast jokes, okay, this is the good one, here, let me see, I'm not gonna say that Hitler liked Ava Braun to shit in his mouth, but I will say that he liked his mutton in her chops. Now that's a good Hitler joke. It's a killer in 1945, but today it's kind of like that. But anyway, so we would have a girl read that and then translate it into German and listen for EVPs. So I'm serious in the amount of paranormal research I'm doing. I have the entire the motel monitored for EVPs and for temperature fluctuations.
You clearly take your mocking seriously.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
You're also in Return to Nuke'em High. What was that like?
Well, the Return to Nuke'em High was a very fucked up shoot, but it fed into a lot of my other shit because we were in a motel, like a mortuary, is where everybody was like set up to film. So everybody was in the mortuary, and a lot of people like heard voices and shit, and were very creeped out. A few people wanted to leave during the middle of the shoot because they had heard shit in the pipes during the filming. It was very eerie. And people were bit by spiders, and we had to send them to the emergency room because they had like large welts in their arms. So it was a very intense shoot. Not just like physically like most shoots are, but paranormally. It's very fucked up. So, at any rate, so I went immediately, being me, I'm a collector of paranormal stuff. I've collected stuff from Jeffrey Dahmer and John Wayne Gacy and, all that shit. So as soon as I heard that the hotel had a paranormal history, I looked in the crematorium and I started fingering through all the cremains, and I found business cards from the guy who originally owned the hotel, the mortuary. And he was a mobster, and he was famous for layering bodies in the hotel, layering bodies in the mortuary, so that he would hide one body under the other and bury people that he was pissed off at. So I found his business cards, and I was like, okay, I'm happy with that. But yeah, it was very paranormal weirdness went on, dude. And you know what? When I shot Disco Exorcist, and
you were in Disco Exorcist? This is one of the films I want to see.
Oh, fun film.
Oh,
Disco Exorcist. Okay, so I shot
entirely new level of respect.
So I shot Disco Exorcist, and in that movie I played like a porn director. And then originally in the script, the director was kind of like a sleazy, kind of straight guy. And I played him against type as kind of like Captain Kangaroo or Bruce Valanche, kind of like a very fucked up kind of bullshit character. So I played it against type, but this is the fucking crazy thing. They knew me, and they know that I collect paranormal shit, and I'm into ghosts and stuff. So the whole time that I was there shooting that movie, they set me up in the Lizzie Borden murder house for the entire shoot. So I was there, right? Yeah, get it? So I was there every night. Every night I would go on set and I'd do my thing and do my shoot, and then I would know that I was going home to Lizzie Borden's house, and I would go to the hotel, and there was 2 nights actually where I was the only person in the entire Lizzie Borden house, and I stayed in Lizzie Borden's room and in her mother's room where she was axed in the head alone by myself. So, so I was fucking seventh heaven. But,
Babette Bombshell is clearly the greatest person who ever lived.
And then I see Jeff Dahmer caught in Milwaukee, and I recognize him from the bar. And it's like a guy who was in the bar all the fucking time, who was cruising the bars and, cruising the strippers. So I was like, oh fuck. So then, I go in to the bar afterwards, and nobody is in the bar. For the next 2 weeks after Jeff Dahmer was caught for killing people in the bars, the entire boys' town of Chicago was shut down. Fucking nobody was showing up. And so I'm stripping to nobody. I'm dangling my dick to nobody, and nobody is going for it. So I go ahead and I walk down the street, and I see, no money, rent is due. And they say that the manager of the bar says, we have our full moon party coming up, and we don't have a drag queen for it. And I thought, well, fucking, I'll do that, because I was studying at Second City at the time, and I'll do comedy and whatnot. And they went ahead and they hired me for that. So I did drag, thinking that that's what they wanted. They didn't care about drag, but it just happenstance that I did drag. So that's how Babette Bombshell was born, as a direct result of Jeffrey Dahmer having, killed people, and I didn't know.
Is your origin story as interesting as that? I doubt it.
Motherfucker, please.
Now what about John Wayne Gacy?
John Wayne Gacy, okay, so, so Jeffrey Dahmer goes ahead and gets caught killing people, and I immediately knew, because when he came in, because I met I met Jeff Dahmer, and would rub up against him and stuff like that. It was like anybody, Honey and I rubbed up against so many people, really. It was like a cat and heat. So I rubbed up against him, and the only thing I really remember about Jeff Dahmer is him telling me how my chocolates would be glazed versus matte finished, because I made chocolates for the bar at Christmas, and he told me. But anyway, that's side point. But anyway, so Jeff Dahmer, you know, was an interesting side point in my life, and I had 2 people that died from street violence in my life during that time period. You know, well, I don't remember. This is emotional. But anyway, so then I got in touch with John Wayne Gacy because I had collected Jeff Dahmer's card from the bathhouse because he used to come into town and he was such an alcoholic that he would drink to the point where he would be able to pick people up. Jeff Dahmer is the only person that I think alcoholism saved lives because people wouldn't go home with him because he was so drunk. Get it? So he would get so drunk people wouldn't go home with him. So alcoholism saved lives in his point. But the few people that did go home with him died. And I knew a lot of them. When I was at Gay Pride with Jay, who I knew better than Jeff, and Jay was one of his victims who ended up in his refrigerator. He was like the severed head in his refrigerator. And Jay was such a sweet fucking guy, really nice guy. And but the only thing that I really remember about Jeff Dahmer talking was when I was at Gay Pride, and I walked up to Jeff and I said, well, you know, why do you always mumble? And Jeff Dahmer said to me, so people come in closer, so people lean in closer. And only in retrospect is that really creepy, you know? Yeah. It's really weird. But, so Jay, and I saw him and Jay out that day at Gay Pride. And, you know, Jay ended up being one of the guys that was in his refrigerator with his head cut off. And I think Jay's father ran a coffee shop on Halstead Street. And after that, I had to dance on Halstead Street as a stripper and watch his father kind of open and close this coffee shop. It's very weird. It's a very hard time period. And frankly, I had a nervous breakdown after that, and I didn't do films for a long time.
Not surprised.
Yeah. But, so anyway, John Wayne Gacy. Okay, so John Wayne Gacy, when I knew Jeff Dahmer had been captured, I called my friend who worked at a bathhouse down the street called the Unicorn, and I said, because I knew that Jeff Dahmer got trashed when he was in town, and I said, does he have any cards on file for the bathhouse, for the steam rooms and shit? And my friend said, yeah, he has 3. Because what the deal is when straight guys come into the steam room in the bathhouse, they keep their card on file so that they don't have to go home and their wife goes, what the fuck is this, suck a dick in jail, So what they do is, they keep their card on file. So Jeff Dahmer kept several cards on file, and I have one of them in my collection of Murderabilia, and that was the first piece of Murderabilia. So, and then I had several people die in street violence after that, and I left Chicago. But as part of dealing with that, I got in touch with John Wayne Gacy, because I started collecting Murderabilia from the card, from John Wayne Gacy, from Jeff Dahmer.
Yeah.
And I went to him at Maynard Correctional Institution. And he was only allowed like one visitor every 4 months. It was very restricted. And I visited him twice, and I got a painting from him. And he eventually looked at me, and this is the crazy thing, okay? He looks at me and he says, "Are you queer?" He says to me after my second visit to John Wayne Gacy. And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, I don't think you should visit much anymore, because I've had bad experiences with queer people." And I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe the 30-some-odd people buried under your basement didn't have such great experiences either.
Yeah, on On balance, I think queer people had a worse experience with John Wayne Gacy than the other way around.
Just saying. So anyway, so I left that experience with him, and I went out to the car, and my friend Cameron was just like, did John Wayne Gacy just break up with you? And I was like, oh yeah, I guess so. But yeah, he was an odd duck. John Wayne Gacy was an odd duck. And now, and the weird thing is now, after having those experiences with Jeff Dahmer and John Wayne Gacy, and being in the position I am now with horror films and stuff, I have people reaching out to me, and I don't know whether they're serious or not about being serial killers. So I have like a few people that I'm watching. I'll say that, but I never. There you go. I did the movie with Herschel Gordon-Lewis, The Godfather of Gore. I can talk about that.
Yes.
So I did a movie with Herschel Gordon-Lewis, who's the Godfather of Gore, who did like Blood Feast, and he invented gore as...
And 2000 Maniacs.
2000 Maniacs was my favorite. So he invented gore as a pantheon of horror. So, so I did a movie with him, and the first time I met Herschel, I showed up on the set, and he had just hurt his back. And the guy is like 82, and I thought to myself, because he was all bent over and he had hurt his back, and I thought, well, this motherfucker's gonna die any day. We need to wrap this shit. And then he felt better the next day, and he was like a panther, and he was everywhere, and he was like watching shit and on everything. But so that movie was a lot of fun, and John Waters did the making of that film. And it was a lot of fun. I love John and all of the Dreamlanders and all of that kind of thing. But so Herschel is the greatest, and he has a new movie that he's shopping around called Bruce and the Gore Machine, which I very much want to be a part of, and I have a part in. So we'll see. So if you ever see a Kickstarter for Herschel Gordon-Lewis and Bruce and the Gore Machine, motherfucker.
As much money as you can.
Right.
The man's a legend. But I think that's more than enough.
But do you want to talk? Okay, well, wait a minute. I'm just going to lather around.
Okay.
Okay, so the next thing that I'm talking about is Toxie 5 with Lloyd Kaufman. And Lloyd Kaufman wants me to play the Toxic Avenger's wife. So when you see that movie come up and have a Kickstarter, which undoubtedly it fucking will, you want to talk to Lloyd Kaufman about that, because honey, I want to be the Toxic Avenger, the bride of the Toxic Avenger. How can you possibly resist with all of this?
Is it still called the Toxic Twins, or have they changed the name?
It's called the Toxic Twins. Yeah, it's all about the Toxic Avengers, next generation of kids. But we'll see. They're still working on the script and hammering it out.
Doing an impersonation of Victoria Jackson.
Victoria Jackson is fascinating. And the thing about Victoria Jackson, I really want to believe that what she's doing right now is a satire, because she's fucking out of her mind. Victoria Jackson's out of her mind. So I really, honey, if anybody wants me to do one, let me know, because I'm there.
We need to see the Victoria Jackson story starring Babette Bombshell.
I'm there, motherfuckers.
Get on it.
She's insane.
Can have Lloyd Kaufman as Weird Al Yankovic, because they dated.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Victoria Jackson's out of her mind, so yeah. Please. I really want to believe that whatever Victoria Jackson has going on right now is camp, but I think she's really fucking out of her mind.
I do too.
Yeah. Right, yeah.